Yay, hello, and welcome to this week Training Tuesday Live. We are magnet marketers, where our goal is always to help you become a magnet with your marketing versus being a bullhorn. And today we're going to be talking all about marketing. In fact, we're going to be breaking down really what you need to know, the difference between advertising, marketing, relationship marketing, and really the truth about each of them and how they are different. And most importantly, which style or maybe it's styles would be best for your business. The more that you can understand the differences between them can help you really make decisions on how you want to show up in the world. But before we dive into all the goodies today, if we've not met before, my name is Jessika Phillips with Now Marketing Group in the Relationship Marketing System, and my awesome co-host, he's Mike Gingerich. He's the president of Digital Hill, the co-founder of the popular apps of Loftio, Tabsite, and published author extraordinaire. How's it going, Mike?
Hey, doing well. And I don't know about you and your neck of the woods, but Pennsylvania has been hot. And so just trying to stay cool in the midst of all these different things going on and the shifts. But looking forward to the topic today. And I think it's a valid one to, kind of circle back to, because there's often misconceptions between those. Yeah. And so just being able to kind of highlight some of the differences, I think is important. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, and it's really we want to evolve beyond just like the definition of these. And here's why it's important, as Mike said. And as we're diving into this, let us know what you think the definition of advertising versus marketing or even relationship marketing is to you. But the reason for this discussion today is when you are hiring someone, or maybe you are the one being hired, and a client is laying out their goals and saying, here's what I'm expecting to do with my advertising / marketing, whatever budget, whatever they're calling it. You want to make sure it's really aligned with what they're truly looking to do, because there is a big difference between advertising, marketing, relationship marketing, and even branding. So we do want to break them down, but then really explain the differences between them so you can set up the plan to rock out the rest of this year and even more so moving forward. So yeah, there's a lot here, but I think really it's the truth and understanding too that needs to be kind of called into question here as we're defining this on when somebody's expecting to market. And I'm just going to use myself as an example at the agency, and how this kind of conversation came about is sometimes we'll get calls from clients, or potential clients, I should say, and they're saying, hey, I hear the social thing is big and I want to advertise on social. And we go through a full discovery process, as we do. And they're saying, hey, okay, I want to get set up on Facebook and Instagram and do these things. And, how much is it? And we'll go through, the cost and really needing to have that discussion ahead of time on what their goals are. And I can spot pretty quickly in those conversations when it's like, I want to do Facebook and Instagram and whatever, how much is it? I know that they're really thinking of social media as advertising, not marketing. And here's why, because then the next question is, what can I expect to get back in 30 days time? Or 60 days time. And this is where the truth about this and why this open conversation, maybe you've hired someone or you're the one being hired, really needs to be brought up on what the expectation is, so you can clearly identify the differences between each, because it's not going to have a result in 30 days or 60 days when done right if you're focused on marketing. However, advertising may be a little different. So let's break those down first with the definition of branding, because I think that's going to be coming in through a common thread throughout all of these. So Mike, what do you think the definition, in your opinion, is of branding as a whole first?
Yeah, I mean, I think branding is kind of that picture that someone gets of your organization, and it is all encompassing, and so it's more than it does encompass your logo, because some of your brand colors, or that's gonna, but again, it's more than that. It's gonna have an emotion to it. That's what emotion does this generate as part of your branding? There you go. Be good to people.
Yeah. So if branding is just that. Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, and and so
Okay.
for instance, what you're sharing there, we can talk about a mug, we can talk about an organization, but what's behind that, and what emotion comes through with that.
Yeah. And if you didn't know this organization, some people think branding, and this is why it's going to be the common thread throughout all of this, that branding is just that, the logos, whatever, right? The look and feel of it, which it is part of it. But really, branding at its core is the way people feel about you, and the emotion that comes behind it. If you've not met this company, which I love this company, Be Good to People, and I was introduced through another friend. I think Brian Fanzo was actually the first person to introduce me to them. Yeah, which one? Do you have the bracelet?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, awesome. But if you've met the organization, if you know what they're about, it comes as a symbol of pride. You're wearing it on your wrist. We could not have planned that better. Neither one of us knew we were showing up with this, but that's branding, right? It's like, I am proud to wear it. I have a whole bag of face masks that I order for the team that it's black with the white logos, Be Good to People, right? That is branding. It's because we feel something about the organization, and now we're showing up with it. So hopefully throughout, when we're talking about all of these elements, you have your branding right, so the rest of this can work out too. So that's the definition of branding, right? And it can be enforced with marketing and advertising and relationship marketing we're going to be talking about. But that, when you're talking about branding, if you're just getting started as a new business and you haven't established yourself yet as an organization, with understanding who you are, what you're about, who you're there for, then it's going to be really hard to accomplish any of these other things. So that needs to be at the core first. And then we move into deciding, how are we going to show up and launch our brand, right? And show up in the world to sell our bracelets, sell our mugs, sell our face masks, and sell everything that we're trying to sell, our product and service, and get people to want to come and shop from us. And that's where this decision comes into play, how you show up. And here's the differences between each. So first is advertising. It's the most traditional, and probably when people think of advertising, I guess, Mike, when I say advertising, what is that? What types come to mind for you?
Yeah, I mean, I always think of billboards to begin with, that type of thing. And you think of television commercials, and I think you can also think of some PPC in the advertising realm, pay-per-click kind of things.
Yeah, yep. And I like to describe it as you're paying for attention versus it being earned. And Tim, you're exactly right. Your brand is your vibe. It should definitely be your vibe, and your vibe attracts your tribe. I don't know who the original person wants to say that, but I love that quote. But I like to say advertising is one-way communication. Okay. You are pushing a message out there. It's where our magnet versus bullhorn comes into play, right? It's the bullhorn approach.
Yeah.
And there are some good ways of doing that, right? But you have to realize it is one-way communication. So as Mike said, billboard, radio, TV, it's all name recognition. Really, it's paid, and you're expecting to spend X amount of dollars and get X amount of return, or ROI, return on investment, in a time period. It is a campaign typically that you're doing, and it's something that's not going to stay forever. You're expecting an outcome for spending X amount of dollars.
That's the key. It's not going to stay forever. It's like you have to keep feeding the machine, or else it's over.
Yeah, exactly. That's the key. You have to keep feeding it, or it's over. It's not going to last. Now, there's even Facebook ads, right? So some people are thinking, okay, advertising, we just mentioned, billboard, radio, TV, all those things, but also there's online advertising too, but it's still one-way focused. And here's the key. The goal is to sell. And it is all interruption style marketing, whether good or bad. It's still an interruption type of marketing. So it's, announcing something, and it's always paid and never earned in that case. But
transactional.
The good news is doing it. Yeah, very transactional. Like, for example, we just mentioned Facebook ads as one of the ways of doing it. And the key is, when we say interruption marketing, it's typically kind of resonates with people thinking of it as spam, and something that all of us try to ignore. Fast forward through the commercials, right? Subscribe to other services that we're not going to have to listen to commercials, that kind of thing. But now it can be done really well when taking in consideration who your customer is and personalizing your advertisements. But advertising, that's just what it is. The definition, it's paid attention. You're seeking an outcome within X amount of time typically, and you're wanting a positive return. And I like to think it's a very short game. So if you are launching your company, let's say, Be Good to People is launching the company and people haven't heard of them yet, and they need to grow and make a positive ROI, they may want to consider advertising along with some of the other things that we're going to talk about, because people don't know them yet. They don't have the opportunity to have, Be Good to People does. But I'm just saying, if they were a new company, they don't have those transactions coming in. So they do have to kind of get their message out there. Awesome. Good to see you, David, on here. Good to see you, Tim. Tim says, Brian Schumann always says, your vibe attracts your tribe. Yes, I love that. I know I've heard many people say, I just don't know who the original author of that quote, if you will, is, but maybe it is Brian. So, but I love that. And I think I pronounced his last name wrong. How would you say that? Schulman?
Yeah, I think you got it. Schulman, I think. Yeah.
Good. All right. So hopefully advertising, that definition makes sense. Again, it is paid, not earned. It is one-way communication. I think that's a way of thinking of it. And it is transactional. So you typically don't have the opportunity to respond back to something when it's a one-way piece. Whereas marketing, on the other hand, and we'll break down, there's different kinds of marketing, inbound, outbound, and then we'll expand upon relationship marketing. It's two-way conversational. So when I say marketing to you, Mike, what does that mean? How would you define it in your words?
Yeah, I mean, I think that has more to do with personas. Again, will begin to come into play here. So we're trying to learn about someone, and then we're trying to speak their language and to them. So there's more of a customized approach in that regard. And we're expecting that it's probably going to take multiple touches, because we're trying to build some relationship and rapport versus just a single transaction. See this, buy this, which is advertising. So now it's more let's get to know each other over time. And I think that here's where your branding comes into play as much more important, because you're trying to understand their persona. They're seeing your branding,
Yeah, absolutely. And when persona, maybe define what that is. I'm sure many of you have heard that before.
Sure. So yeah.
But
So when we talk about a buyer persona, that's really kind of doing that background and that research to hone in on who this ideal customer is. So for a business that might be a female who is college educated and the ages between 35 and 39, and participates in fitness activity, those types of things. So you're doing multiple pieces along the way that helps define that ideal customer type, and there. So you might have a few different personas that are relevant to your business, but you need to talk to them differently.
Absolutely. Yes. And here's the reason why. So advertising, which we called the bullhorn, right? You're trying to get your message out to as many people as possible. Whereas marketing is the magnet. It's people coming to you. It's people coming to you. And so different types of marketing. Yeah. And there's inbound and outbound, right? So, and we'll break down those here in just a second. But if you think about marketing, it's really about finding out what people want, right? And then giving it to them. So like, as you said, understanding your persona. So really defining your ideal audience is super key, because if they're coming to you and you want to give them something that they want, you have to know what is it that they want, right? So it's very much a serving style focused, serving over selling is what I like to say. And it's making it easy for people to notice you, relate to you, remember you, and hopefully refer you on. And I love Seth Godin, all of his stuff, but really what he what he calls marketing permission based in many instances, especially if we're talking about like inbound marketing. And that's kind of what I love the most, because there's inbound and outbound. So the goal of marketing, though, is to start the conversation, whereas advertising is just one-way communication. So marketing, starting the conversation, giving people what they want, right? And to do that, is to Mike's point, you have to know who that audience is, and then decide if you're going to do inbound or outbound marketing. So Mike, if I say outbound marketing, what does that mean to you? Could you?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing I usually think about is telephone, but also email in that. So I'm trying to start a conversation by putting something out there to see if we can begin that.
Yes, absolutely. So it could be, yeah, like you said, cold calling, which, oh God, it makes me cringe inside thinking about it. And I hate to even consider that that's still marketing. And hopefully that's evolved though. And cold calling, being that we're trying to start a conversation with our ideal audience, it is calling someone with the intent of serving them. And that's when it's done right. So if you are calling people up and, hey, letting them know maybe you have a new product, or that you noticed that they have this need and you're telling them about it, that outbound marketing can still definitely work. I've been called before by actually HubSpot, which is an inbound marketing company, actually called me after I downloaded one of their downloads. This was 10 years ago, and was telling me and explaining to me what their service provided. But they were very conversational about it, and I did end up purchasing. But because I was able to have that conversation, it was one that, helped us kind of grow into that relationship together. So not all outbound marketing is bad, but I do prefer the inbound style, because I don't know that anybody's ever been super excited about getting a cold call or an email, cold email. Meaning that you don't know the company that's reaching out to you. And again, if it comes off kind of salesy, it may feel more like an advertisement and advertising versus marketing, if that makes sense. And inbound marketing is, again, serving up something where people need it and they're going to seek it from you. So you're showing up with really great material, which this is your marketing that you're creating, in hopes that that your ideal audience is going to find it and stick with you, hence magnet. And that can be things like your search engine optimization, your social media, your content, webinars.
Content marketing. Yeah.
Yeah. Podcasts.
Your videos that you create. Yeah. Some of those
Absolutely.
things, going live, offering some resources that way.
Absolutely. And you do a great job of this, like with your podcast too, and just all the answers that you provide on your website. And I'm sure, is that how people find you traditionally now, or what would you say?
It's definitely exploded the blog. Yeah. Just because of the volume and different types of content there. So, the podcast episodes can be found there, and just, different topics that, related to kind of business tech that people want to find. And so, yeah, that's been those different types of all kind of fall under the content marketing umbrella. And so that's given me kind of a footprint that people would, discover by some type of search in one of those, arenas.
Yes. And what's great about that, and you mentioned content marketing, social media marketing, search engine optimization, marketing, all of those kind of fall under that marketing umbrella. And we just said there's typically two types of what's either outbound focused or inbound focused, right? Are you reaching out to someone else, or are they reaching in to get something that you need? But all of that's marketing. And the great thing about is that it's earned, right? So it's earned attention. So it's attention that you've put up the work first, creating the blocks, right? You're doing the labor first. You realize that you're probably not going to have X amount of outcome at the end of 30 days. You may say visits or whatever, but it's harder to, you're not expecting in 30 days that you're going to make $1,000, off of it potentially. Because you understand that this is an earned thing, and it's really about building that relationship and the momentum from what you're earning, putting out what you're putting out there, that it's earning you the attention. And as you said earlier, multiple touches that can then lead into a sale.
Yep. Yeah, and I think that marketing in this fashion, I mean, it builds credibility and allows for trust building, because people can see over the course of time how you operate, what you share, what information that you're providing, and is that aligning with them? And again, if it's done properly, you're hoping that you are finding those people you have aligned with, because you have identified those ideal customers, that persona that they're trying to reach. And so if that's flowing in sync, there's a natural fit. It's like, hey, this resonates with me, and that's the kind of people you're trying to reach out to, that there's a fit.
Yeah, I love that, because when there is a fit, and again, goes back to what we said at the very, very beginning, getting your branding right, right? Like, what do you want people to feel about you? Then it ties back into your marketing. When you're showing up and delivering these blogs, they're consistent with your style, your tone, that people are going to remember you. Like we showed, the be good to people. If you go to any of their marketing efforts, you're still going to feel the same tone as their brand that they've created at the beginning. So hopefully that all makes sense, how these kind of tie together, but then also the differences between them. So when you're setting out your goal of, do I want advertising, quick return that I'm paying for, not earning, or am I earning it in for the long term? And marketing is considerate and consistent, right? And that when you're investing in marketing, it's kind of like just having money in the bank. Are you putting it out, putting it in and wanting a quick withdrawal? Or are you putting it in and investing because there's going to be a bigger return if you stay considerate and consistent with it at the end of the day, right? So that's at least the two types of advertising and marketing, the differences between the two. Would you say anything else with marketing that we didn't mention yet that kind of defines that?
Just want to highlight kind of what you said, the serving focused, as opposed to it's a different model. So the transaction is, can I get you to take this step and do this where this is, I think this is going to be helpful. I think it'd be helpful for your business. And so there's an aspect of serving to that I think is good to highlight. You've mentioned kind of some of those key words that they're, it's permission based and earned, so I think, again, there's hopefully that clarifies some distinctions from someone, and just again in a time frame. It's gonna take longer, but it's gonna last longer. So it's compared to an advertising model, so you have to think through these things in terms of what your approach needs to be when.
Yeah. And one outbound thing that we didn't mention, but hopefully it'll become even more relevant as things change. But even like showing up, I just think in my early years of showing up at chamber events, right? Or different community events to kind of give back, that can still be marketing, right? Like it can still, if you're sponsoring something, that can still be considered marketing, where you're showing up and you're not there, actively selling, but you're maybe supporting something going on. That can still be considered marketing too. So just really consider kind of what is going to, as you said, grow over time, right? It's going to be an investment, and you're going to have the biggest return at the end of the day, because it's not something that's going to be a flash and then gone, as it could be with advertising. And they're honestly best when they're working together with advertising, if you can do it, but you just have to know what your goals are. And then my most favorite type, though, is relationship marketing. So when I say relationship marketing to you, Mike, what do you think? How to define that?
Yeah, I think I don't know, maybe just it's marketing like we talked about on relational steroids, right? Okay, so it's just taking that to another level of wanting to be helpful, wanting to be a magnet, wanting to, and I think maybe where this comes in is kind of the delight and retention aspects, so some fuller circle pieces there. So a little nutshell there, starting point that I would say.
Absolutely. You hit it, nail on the head right there. And relationship marketing, the way that I try to easily explain it to customers and what we're about is that we help them grow repeat and referral business. Whereas most marketing and even advertising, when you start thinking of it, you always think, I'm going to spend X amount of dollars to attract new customers. And that's typically the mindset. You typically don't go in it thinking retention, right? And getting your current clients to be kind of that sales army for you. And why we are huge advocates on relationship marketing is that, one, it's been proven that current customers are going to be the ones that are going to spend more money with you at the end of the day. And, keeping a customer longer, attraction and attention is really hard to obtain. So the longer you can keep your client and your ideal client longer, the less you're going to spend on marketing over time, one, as well as happy customers are going to refer more to you. And word of mouth is that number one referrer of business. And especially important with relationship marketing today, as we move into the world of dark social, as we've talked about it on here, where it's harder to reach people. We already talked about advertising and how many people have, subscribe to Netflix and, different Pandora or YouTube Red, as I have it, where I don't even get commercials. It's harder to reach your ideal audience. And there's so many competitors out there. So when people are communicating now on social, I actually seen my friend Kelly Noble Marabella post yesterday that her Facebook page didn't have much engagement when she pushed something out there, which is marketing, but her Facebook group had a ton of engagement, which is a private, more niched community. So dark socials, these conversations that typically we would consider happening in like the marketing realms, are now happening in the inbox of Messenger, Facebook groups, things like that. So if you don't have a focus on relationship marketing to retain and get referral business in place, then it's going to be harder for you to be invited to these conversations, to even be seen, heard about, or even people to know what you're about. So relationship marketing is focusing on your existing audience, making them so happy that they're willing to have those conversations about you or with you and refer you on more often.
That you're top of mind, and that you're something that someone says, oh yeah, I got just the thing. Let me pass this link on to you, whatever it is, that type of information, but they're sharing that. And that's, as you said, what's happening. There's a lot of conversations going in, direct messages. There's, whatever platform you want to think about. You could be Snapchat, it could be Instagram, it could be WhatsApp, Messenger, all these pieces where people are communicating text messages. So it's not privy to the public, but someone is giving their opinion and their thought, and typically that's going to be well trusted by the person that's receiving that recommendation.
Yes, just like you and I. What do we do when we seen Be Good to People? You were quick to pull up your bracelet, right? And I heard about them through a friend, I said, right? And then I bought the face masks for my team, and now they're sharing it with others, right? And relationship marketing, the things that they did. So we talked about marketing. And as you said, relationship marketing is like marketing on steroids. It's focused on your existing audience. Be Good to People. Every time I place another order, they say, oh my gosh, thank you so much for ordering again from us, and they'll add in some personalized messaging to that, which makes me feel like a VIP, not just, I just completed another purchase, right? And when I'm tagging photos, they're replying and responding back, having those conversations, right? So they're personalizing it even more. And it's not like they're offering, so if you think about the days, and I don't know if they still do this or not, I'm so far removed from the cell phone world now, but when I was selling in the cell phone world, we would advertise and market for new customers to get X amount of dollars off a new phone. But somebody that had been with the company like 10 years didn't get the same offer, right? Like, how bad does that make you feel as a loyal customer? I think we all know the adage of when we see something for a discount with cable company, that we call in and we'll haggle and promise that we're canceling all that just to try to get that discount. And even if they give it to us, we're still left a little unsettled because we're like, we've been there for 10 years and they haven't offered me X, Y, and Z. Where relationship marketing is offering your existing audience something special, like that
Yes,
personalized
it makes
email.
them the VIP,
Yes.
first to see
Yeah.
this, first to get this,
Mhm.
extra benefits, those types of pieces.
Yeah, first look at something new that you're rolling out, right? A personalized card, maybe. It is remembering what they've done with you. So having like a CRM in the background, so customer relationship management tool, where you have more intelligence on what your audience, customer, client, whatever you want to call them, has done with you, right? And engaging in a way that you feel like you're a family or a VIP. And this can be done on a very intimate one-to-one scale, or even, if you do have a larger company, there's still some relationship marketing best practices that you can put into place. Like I said, not offering the big sales and things like that to just new people, because honestly, that's just going to set you up for failure anyway, because whenever you get a discount, somebody told me this when I was setting pricing, is like the lowest price that you've ever set, like that's all that product or service will ever be worth in that person's eyes. So you're setting yourself up for failure if you're thinking, I'm going to get them in with this special offer and discount it, but then next year it's going to jack up if they're not going to be ticked off with you, right? So relationship marketing is that long end game that is definitely going to help you grow repeat and referral and sustainable earned positive ROI. Because if you have your branding right, you're treating your existing audience really well, that's going to spend more with you and be your best sales generator, then that's only going to help you grow more so and kind of duplicate your efforts when people are sharing and promoting your brand, especially in dark social world right now.
Absolutely. And so, what we've seen, again, with the evolution of these pieces is the opportunity for growth of uh, marketing and then relationship marketing over the last 5-7 years in a substantial way that you could always do that in a kind of a from bricks and mortar standpoint, but just kind of some of the advancements of technology are allowing us to do that in a in a remote way, type thing. So being able to find ways to do that. I think of is it Sheila, who cards
Cards by Sheila
cards.
Cosker. She is
Yes.
so sweet that she actually just popped up in my time hop today.
Yep, give her a shout out. I mean, that so basically, a business that allowing people to create custom cards, but she does that well. I mean, I've gotten a custom card for her on an accomplishment that she saw for me on Facebook, that type of
Yep.
thing, and so just sending that out, that's memorable. That stays with. That's a touch point, and so
She wasn't trying to sell you, right? She was just
no.
reaching out and saying, congratulations, I seen something, but now what are you doing?
Yeah.
Talking about her here,
Talking
right?
about her, and I'm aware of the way that made me feel, and so that prompts me to to be able to talk about it. So I think that's kind of the key of what we've done, and that's where we're at today.
Yeah.
With social media allows us the technology we have today allows us to connect in those ways, but the deepest ones, the ones where you feel best, are where you have that that connection that allows you to feel something. So that feeling and that experience, I think that's what sets relationship marketing apart. Again, we've talked about that there's places for all these things, and there may be a combination of pieces that you need to apply. You may need to yes, and some pieces, but just be aware of the distinctions, the long-term outcomes of each of those, and what your goals are, how that aligns.
Absolutely. And it goes back to your goals at the beginning, and whether you are seeking out services from someone else or you're providing these services, really knowing the difference between them, because I think the words just get changed around too much and there adds some confusion, right? So again, what we talked about, like the advertising, it's paid. Marketing is earned. Advertising is one-way conversation. Marketing is a two-way conversation. Advertising is paying so much and expecting X return, whereas marketing is knowing it's a longer end game. And then relationship marketing is focusing on not just getting new customers, whereas marketing traditionally is. Relationship marketing is focused on keeping your customers longer. And I like to say relationship marketing is really you out care the competition, is what I like to say. And care is an acronym. And really the care process could be used with any of these stages, but it's so important as we move, even in 2020 now, where people are expecting speed, ease of use, accessibility, and their number one buying decision is based on experience. Care is going to be that differentiator between choosing one competitor over another. And it breaks up into an acronym to really kind of help you think, which I'll just mention the first one, which is C, which is capture attention. And really that goes back, not just capturing attention when you think of it from a branding standpoint, which we talked about some of that, CS logos and all of that. But I like to say capture attention is having that feeling, that vibe, that brand identity to where you have your own story, tone, feeling, identity of who you want to work with, how you're going to help people, what's going to make your brand unique. And that's what makes you memorable. So you really have to identify and know who's the competitors out there against us, or I like to say complementary services, but what makes you unique and who do you really serve so you can capture the attention when someone comes and starts checking out your marketing or advertising, because you're going to stand out instead of just being another person in that sea of samesies of people that offer what you do.
Yep. And then the A is articulate your message.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's being crystal clear on what you do. I'll be honest, I just read StoryBrand and I started going back through it again because I love the way he describes how you should articulate your message. And I've always said, just make it stupid simple of saying what it is that you do and how you do it. But I love the StoryBrand approach where he says, make your customer the hero, right? And you're their guide or sidekick, and really decide how am I going to articulate our message and how we help them solve a pain point or reach a goal, but in a way that's really hitting on one of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And he talks about it not just being like a story, but he's saying just give it a quick test on your site. They should be able to tell what you do, and stop making your audience burn brain calories, as he said, on there to try to figure out what you do, because our brains don't do that. They're looking for quick, easy information. If something looks like it's going to take a lot of time, we will conserve, and save our brain calories and not actually get through all of it. So you have to simplify.
Simplify. Yeah. Okay. So we got C, A, and we have R and E. R is for the relationships, and breaking that down, repeat and referral business, right? That's going to differentiate relationship marketing. Is that people keep coming back because they've experienced, they've felt, they've been taken care of, and then so much so that they also you're top of mind, that they want to share that, they want to refer that, they want to say, oh, you need that, you need to go here.
Yeah, I like to say delight, deliver, do it again. Really focusing on what can I do? What can I personalize? How can I make people feel special, like they're a VIP? Whether it's jumping on, and sending a video email versus just an email, right? Whether it's sending an audio message. Well, Sheila Custer in her card, the email that I got from Be Good to People, right? You're really taking, I want to build a relationship for the long term with this person. I'm not just providing a service and expecting them to refer us on. I want to, delight and kick it up a notch and exceed what they were wanting. And that goes into the E, which is exceptional experiences. So that means everything that we've do online, whether and in person, is thinking and taking into consideration, I should say, from the moment that somebody's searching for the service that they need to the time that they come in either to your physical location or online. What is their process like? And it said that now like 80% of your processes should be able to be where customers could do that on their own, self-service, right? But still keeping that R in mind where they can, communicate with the human if they need to, but having an exceptional experience means making it easy for them. Whether that's, the brands that are succeeding today with Instacart, right? DoorDash, Uber Eats, the companies that are making it really easy to do business with them, and where it's a great experience to where I would want to come back and do it again, and tell people about it.
Yes. Yep. So, I mean, that's a wealth of information. Hopefully that's helpful for people, and you can see where our interests and passions lie as Jessika shares those pieces there, and that comes through, and yet, we're also saying that the each has a role. Just be clear on which one and for what you need to do.
Yeah, because unfortunately, we talked about this a couple weeks ago with, just knowing people before you hire them. The expectations aren't set up front in some instances. There still are, unfortunately, some companies that are out there that will promise X return for a service that is really should be considered marketing versus advertising. And it's completely different. So if, like, as you said, setting up those goals at the beginning and kind of knowing the differences, where you want to invest your time, energy, or dollars into building a plan that's going to help you reach your goals, and really planning for the future too, the long end game, right? So social's been great, online marketing's been great, but again, we're going from reaching out to everyone online to going back to smaller communities. So relationship marketing definitely needs to be a part of the mix regardless. And you can start small. So I will give a workbook link here if you are interested in just like how you can do that and some practical examples. And then as always, we share a recap of our show. So we have the one up actually from last week where we were breaking down the changes in social, but we will share all of those on our blog at nowmarketinggroup.com/blog. So you have access to the show notes and can go back and kind of use those as your guide. And feel free to sign up if you want to just have it delivered to your inbox. We don't do any spamming or cold calls, I promise. We have a lot of people that are just there for the information, and that's what we love to see. And I know Mike has a great blog as well, with a wealth of information. So again, hopefully this was helpful for you. Mike, what is your blog link real quick before?
Yeah, just my name, MikeGingerich.com, and you can go click on the blog links. There's a number of categories at the top of the page there, and come on over and check out some of those business topics.
Yeah, and
pleased to be expanding some of my my business arenas. So there's always business tech, there's social media, there's digital marketing, but getting in some more resources that can help startup entrepreneurship, even some business law resources, things you got to be aware of when you're operating a business.
That's awesome. You can always tell how much a brand cares by what they provide as free information, right? Like, I love that. So thank you for providing and showing up to serve versus just sell. So love seeing that. And thank you all for joining in with us today. If you have some resources too, drop your link in there. We'd love to see what you got going on your website. But thank you for joining in with us this week on Magnet Marketers, where our goal is always to help you become a magnet with your marketing versus being a bullhorn. We'll be back here next Tuesday, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Until then, enjoy the rest of your week. Bye-bye.